But I knew I was at a crossroads. I knew that I had to make a choice. I could go down the road of anger and bitterness and get way off, or I could choose to go down the road of, I don't understand what is happening, but I trust you. I trust you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Radiant Podcast, and we are joined by a friend of mine, Melissa. Thanks so much, Melissa, for being here on the podcast with us. I'm kind of excited to talk through your story. I've known you for a while now, know your story, and when we talked about doing this podcast together, I had you send me the bullet points for your story, which was like 5 pages long, it felt like, but it was, I got probably 8 bullet points in and was already crying just reading your bullet points. And I was like, oof, this is going to be tough. Like, so we already have a box of tissues down here, like ready to go. But, it's a painful story, a sad story, but also a beautiful story when you see the whole, like what God has done with you in the hard times and in the healing times. And so I don't want to like steal your talking points or everything you have. I would love just to hear from you. I know you are someone who's been at Radiant Church for how long now?
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. Yeah. So you are one of those pillars in our house. Currently you run our RSM part-time program, which is, if you've been listening to the podcast, we've had multiple people that have gone through the part-time program. And so all those people, are a helpful fruit are the fruit from what you've helped grow in the part-time program. And so that's been something that the Lord has been just moving on. And so thank you so much for what you've been doing. So you've been here for a while, helping run that stuff, but we want to kind of talk about how did you become who you are today, almost because of just this big part of your story. And so I don't know what's the best part to jump in on, like, where does your story start?
So I'd really like to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important to the story, just to share where I came from as a young girl and even conception. At conception, I was born out of an affair that my mom had with a married man.
Wow.
So he had other children, and I've never met my biological father. I don't even know if he knew I existed.
Wow.
And then my mom, she married a man when I was 6 months old, and he raised me as his daughter. Wow. And they never told me.
Wow.
So it was a secret.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
So a root of rejection right from conception. And then when I was getting a little bit older, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, I started figuring things out, like dates don't line up. And so I started asking questions, and then they shared with me that he wasn't my biological father, that he had adopted me when I was young. And that was great, except that our family was just so dysfunctional anyways. It was a mess.
That wasn't a helpful addition.
It was not.
Didn't smooth things over,
Not at all. A lot of drinking in the home, a lot of drugs, and a lot of abuse, actually, in a number of different ways. And so I was just a kid trying to survive that, but yet not old enough to be able to process through any of it. We didn't go to church.
Okay.
My grandma went to the Episcopal church, so that was really all I knew about church. And so I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes especially in my teenage years, when I started, being able to drive and work a job and had some money. Like, I just started making a lot of poor decisions. And that went on through my early 20s. And at 25, I met a group of people through the Amway business, and they shared the gospel with me.
Wow.
I had never heard the gospel before that.
That's crazy,
Is that wild?
Yes.
Like we live in America.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. It's the fact of just knowing you, like of knowing who you are, knowing the character of your heart, knowing like the foundations of your life. I've never heard this part of your story that'd be like, oh, this is what like for the first 25 of your years of your life, this is what, and it just shows the redemption of God. Yeah. Like, and that even though like some people could look at that as, look at all those years wasted. And it's like, well, actually the Melissa I know now is like, I would put her at this level and to see that that's where she started. Like, like it shows just the beauty of God's grace and his redemption. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. And my life was a mess at that point, obviously, as you can imagine. And so it was a fight to go after God and to get this normal lifestyle going, right? Yeah. So the first thing that happened was back then we had cassette tapes and I would...
Which I hear, by the way, are like coming back.
Oh, sweet.
My wife told me like Walkman's tapes are all coming, which is like, I don't know if I believe that, but that'd be crazy. Yeah.
But I went through this series on Proverbs. And I look back, then I didn't realize, but now I look back and I think, that was the mercy of the Lord to give me the book of wisdom. And it was like verse by verse, just walking through Proverbs. And it built this foundation of God's truth and God's wisdom in me and just started stirring up this desire to go after him and to love him and to serve him and to have him be the center of my family and my life. And at that time, at 25, I had 2 young girls and was on my own. And I started a job and I met this good-looking guy that was on the maintenance team there. And we began to date. And he had made some mistakes too, so we're coming together. We're both a little bit messy. Yeah. But here's the big difference. He grew up in the church. He grew up in a Baptist church, and his family, they were wonderful Christians and had taught him the value of family and prioritizing the Lord and having that at the center of your life. So I really looked up to him. Like I probably worshiped him like he was God because he just had the answers to what I was searching for.
And so different than what you grew up from.
Right. And my heart desired that. And so we dated probably about 6 months and then we got married, and our initial goals were, okay, we're going to get married, we're going to buy a house, and we're going to have a baby.
Yeah. How old are you at this time?
26.
Okay,
27. Yeah. Somewhere in there. So still young. So we grew up together as we did these things, and we had that vision out there, and there were complications to all 3 of those, getting married, buying a house and having a baby. There were stumbling blocks to all of that, but we worked through all of it. And we had Aaron, and we decided at that time that I was going to stay home with the kids. And so that started a whole new season of, I was homeschooling, and then John quit his job and started a small business out of our home, an automotive business. And so we just were enjoying life, but it was so hard because marriage is hard, right? And with my background, I didn't know how to be emotionally healthy and how to work through things. And we were going to a church. It was actually the church that used to be in the building where Radiant Richland is.
I always talk with people who are at the Portage one. They're like, oh, I went to that church. I don't really talk to many people that are at the Richland one,
because there aren't very many of us left, because that was a long time ago. And so we went to that church for 4 years. And it was a great stepping stone for us, because John was coming out of the Baptist church, and the pastor, his dad was Baptist and his mom was Jewish. Wow. So it was kind of this combination, and it was comfortable. Yeah. For John. I had been saved in a more charismatic church up in Grand Rapids, but hadn't been there very long, so really didn't know a lot. I just liked the music and the worship, and the church that we were going to was a little bit different, but they had an Awana program. God knew exactly what he was doing every step of the way. They had an Awana program, and I volunteered to serve in that, and I got to learn scripture right along with these little kids because I didn't know. I didn't have scripture hidden in my heart. I didn't know the Bible stories. So as I was homeschooling my kids, we were reading through the children's storybook, and I'm learning these stories right beautiful. Along with my kids. And
that's so cool.
So it was just beautiful the way the Lord did it, just to get the word in me and set a foundation for the plans and purposes that he had for my life. What the devil meant for evil, God meant for good. And he just flipped the script on the enemy. And so we were there for 4 years, and then they just kind of made steps in the direction to dissolve the church. And Pastor Lee came in and bought the church, and Pastor Lee was actually coming from the church that I had gotten saved in.
I did not know that. Oh, wow. That's
so it was crazy, full circle moment. I didn't know Pastor Lee, but I knew his pastor. And they came down and they walked through the building, and I was like, oh, they're going to buy this building. And in my heart, I'm just like, I love the way they do church. And I love the worship, and I want to go to this church, but I had to convince my husband that he would want to go to that church. So we waited a few months, and then we decided to check it out. And so we came with our kids and put the kids in children's church, and they had made some changes in the church, so that was weird. But we went into service, and worship was far different than anything John had ever experienced. And I remember leaving the service, and we had our kids were sitting in the car, and I said, so what'd you think? And he said, well, I don't know. I don't know about all that standing. I don't know about raising your hands and worship. He said, but I felt the Lord's presence.
Wow.
And if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us.
What an amazing metric. It's like, that's so awesome.
So that started our journey here at Radiant Church. The kids loved it. They were all in, and that was September 1998.
Wow,
And so we came, and we're just like, use us. We're willing to do whatever. The first assignment we had was the 3-year-old room. That was not my gifting, but I was willing to do it. And we were there for a while, and it took a lot, but I did it with God's help. And then just moved on from there, helped with the welcome team. And then the Lord moved us into a place of directing the welcome team. I'm sure it wasn't called that then. It was just
something,
because we were so small. It was just a small church, and we didn't have the big sanctuary. We were in the student center, and I watched John Zondervan get saved, and everybody's crying in the room, and I'm like, what?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Some celebrity?
Philistine level size guy,
Right. So we just plugged in and just were willing to do whatever it took. And I remember going through the years of John coming on the elder board. He was one of the elders here, and it was just such an honor for him and to be in that inner circle. And he just loved Pastor Lee and and Jane so much, and just built a great relationship with them. And then we started doing small groups. And that really changed our life. Kind of got into the niche of doing marriage ministry groups, and we loved it because we would leave the group and we had learned more than anybody in the room, and we needed it. We just needed to start really figuring out how to do marriage and how to do life. And I needed to grow emotionally, become emotionally healthy. And so there were all of these things that we walked through the years, and God was just layer by layer healing things in my heart. building me up, building our marriage, building our family, but also building the congregation at the same time, building marriages within the body at the church and individuals. And it just was a beautiful season. And we went through RSM 1.0 back in the day.
Yeah.
And we did all this stuff. And probably around 2014 or so, 13, 14, John felt the call from the Lord to go into full-time ministry.
Yeah.
He was still doing his business, and it was good. Small business is hard, and so there were struggles there, but he felt that call, and God was really growing our ministry. And so he talked to Pastor Lee about it, and Pastor Lee said, well, go back to school. You know, what do you feel like? What type of ministry? And he really felt a call to that care ministry area and counseling. And so Pastor Lee encouraged him to go back to school. So he did.
Yeah.
He did it.
So I always hear this story, but from Pastor Lee. So Pastor Lee uses John as this example all the time of like people who like just go all in, and he tells the story of John coming to Lee saying, hey, I'm feeling like God is calling me to do this. And Lee tells him, okay, then you should go to school and get your degree in this. And the way Lee says it is like, and then he's like, okay. And then he's like, I didn't hear from him for a while. Then he comes back and he's like, done. And you're like, wait, done what? What do you mean? He's like, oh, I got my degree. And you're like, wait, when did you get your degree? He's like, I did it like at night, and I did that. Like, and it just showed like the okay, if God's calling me to do this, then I'm going to put the effort in. And so that's one of my favorite memories of just like of hearing of John of just like is like I did it, and it's like what's next, and he's an awesome guy.
It was so awesome, and there was so much grace. Like he knew it was the Lord calling him because there was so much grace in that season. We were starting a new ministry, the care ministry, and getting that off the ground while he's going to school and all these things, and knowing there would be transition after he finished school. And so he finished, and he went back to Pastor Lee, just like you said, and they made a plan for, okay, come on staff January 1st of 2016. So a lot of changes in our life, but also watching John realize this dream that that God had put in his heart, and that coming to fruition and stepping into that place. But also for us, it was transition of now he's a pastor, I'm a pastor's wife, and we were able to liquidate the business and get that stress off and sell our house. We had lived in Plainwell in just a modest ranch for a number of years because that's where his small business was located. And I remember him coming to me and saying, I want you to pick out the house that we're going to buy because you supported me all of those years of being in Plainwell and 23 years or so that we had that home, and pick out the house that you want. And so, of course, I picked out something in a subdivision with a manicured lawn, and attached garage, because we never had we had a detached garage. Okay. And just the little things so it was so fun just making that transition. And I loved the home that we moved into, and it was 5 minutes from the church before we were in Plainwell. So it was always a 25 minute drive to church. And we were back, as you can imagine, back and forth a number of times a week. And so it was just those little gifts from the Lord in that season. And we really just felt like, wow, we're on the mountaintop. We know this isn't going to last, but this is a great season. Loving this. And we were equipping high-level leaders within the church to just help out on a volunteer basis. Just so many fun things happening. And that was all great. And then I'm going to fast forward a little bit to 2018. Colorado bunch started coming in.
I came 2018 as well. Yeah, that's when I met you and John. Yeah.
So there was a lot going on in the church, and I didn't realize anything was going on with John's health. And I think he probably knew before I did, but I remember 2018 at Arise Shine, he thought he had the flu and was sick. And that was the dividing line. From that point forward, he never felt 100% again. But he was sick. We thought it was just the flu. And then after that, he just was always tired.
Yeah.
He would go to work. He'd come home and take a nap, and which was that wasn't what he normally did. He was a very strong man, always healthy. He wasn't on any medication or had never really had any surgeries or anything. So this was out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so in June, he still wasn't feeling better. We're like, what in the world is happening? And he just was tired and lethargic all the time and just didn't have any energy. And so in June, he went into his doctor, just his general practitioner, went in. He did just a normal physical, did all the labs, and the doctor came back and was like, you seem fine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's candida overgrowth or, something along those lines. So we started kind of pursuing that, and he went on a really strict diet, no sugars and things, but he lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, this isn't good either. What in the world is happening? Yeah. And so all summer we were just trying to figure it out, not thinking it was anything major, just thinking it was, and maybe it was, we were delusional. I don't know. And burying our heads in the sand. I don't know. But then which
just trying to figure it out is so consuming. Like, it's more consuming than whatever the illness is. It's like the mental stress of like, we're just trying to figure this out. You're searching, trying, no answers. And it's just like this constant like wrestle, this mental like gymnastics. It's so difficult. Yeah.
And he was even at the point where he wasn't even working full days.
Yeah.
He just was so tired. And looking back, it's like, duh, why?
Oh, for sure. Hindsight's always,
But you're scared too. Yeah. Like, what is the truth of what's happening here? But then mid-August, I remember we had a midweek service, and afterwards, Pastor Lee and a couple doctors from the church talked to us, and they're like, you need to go into emergency. If you go into the emergency room, they'll just run all the tests all at once and figure it out. Where if you go to your doctor, they'll order tests and it takes a long time. If you go into the emergency room, they'll just do everything at once. So we were scared. We were really scared. I remember I think we had a couple phone conversations with Pastor Lee and Jane even that night, just being so scared. And we might have even been resistant to the idea because
for sure
we didn't want to audibly hear it, right?
Yeah.
Like, something's happening. And so we did it. The next morning we got up and went into the emergency room, and they ran a bunch of tests and came back and said, you have cancer. Yeah. You have colon cancer, and it's metastasized to other areas, and we want to keep you. So they admitted him. And it just, everything at that point started being a blur and a fog. I just remember thinking, am I dreaming? What is happening here? He's only 49 years old.
Yeah.
And, and then of course I'm like, okay, it's probably not that bad. We can do some treatments and take care of things. And they kept him overnight, and I went home, slept at home, and then I went to pick up my second daughter, Ariel. And she was 7 months pregnant, and we were going down to the hospital because we knew the doctors were going to be coming in to give a report on they had done a biopsy or were going to do a biopsy, some different things. And Ariel and I were in the car headed down to Bronson downtown, and she was like, I either just peed my pants, my water broke, or I'm bleeding. I'm not sure which. Yeah. She's sitting in the passenger seat. It ended up being blood.
Oh, wow.
So we, into emergency, great. What is happening right now? And so we go into the emergency room, and they bring her back and checked everything out, and she ended up having, and I'm like, do I go be with my husband?
Yeah.
Do I stay with my daughter? I don't even know what to do right now. And so they ran some tests on Ariel and realized that she had placenta previa. Okay. She was due in October, and this was August. Wow. Thank goodness that it wasn't anything any more major. But that was...
Which is that where basically she has to have, like, she's going to labor early. Like she has to induce labor early.
Yes, they induce labor early because the area where the placenta is, it's in the way of doing a natural birth. Yeah. So they need to do a C-section, and they want to do it early so nothing happens in the meantime. So so we're walking through that.
And John's in the hospital at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, which is in just those two situations, it's insane. Like having to figure out as a wife and a mother, like how to do that. Like that's so wild. And then your own heart at the same time. I mean, that's so incredibly difficult.
It was wild. Yeah. And as you'll see, as I move further into the story, that God had a plan. Like this was all divinely set up for the timing of everything. But, so Ariel was going to be fine. Went and saw John. He went in for his biopsy, and sure enough, it had gone to his liver. There was some in his lungs. This is the end of August, and at that point, they discharged him, made an appointment with the cancer center, and we're thinking, okay, we'll go to the cancer center.
Get a plan, figure it out.
Yep. We'll just do this thing. We'll pray. We're believing for healing, and we're just going to do everything that we can on all ends. And so that next week, we went into the cancer center. Whew, what a sobering experience. It's a really hard one. Yeah. And we met with the doctor. He looked at all the tests and everything, and had no hope. There was just no hope. Like he said, okay, well, we can do these treatments, and that will give you 6 months.
Yeah, it's so terrible.
Maybe a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like grappling with this, and I'm like...
And probably not an easy 6 months, not an easy year.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you saying that like 6 months? What are you saying here? 0% chance of survival really was the ultimate diagnosis, no matter what we did.
That's so terrible.
And of course, I'm like, wake me up from this dream. This cannot be real. And so we let him know, we gotta pray about this. Yeah. We have to think about this and make obviously some hard decisions. And so we did that. We spent some time just praying and talking about things. And John was like, I don't want to do chemo.
Yeah.
I just don't. I want to spend my last days with my family, with my friends, and not be in pain and not have to commit to all of that time. If it's only going to give me 6 months, I'd rather have.
And I'm assuming the chemo would take months.
Right.
Like my wife's chemo when she had it was 6 months. Like it's like, and so it's the doing treatment for months to give you some months. It's like, that's such a difficult trade-off. It's like having to think through all of that. That's so difficult for John, for you.
Yeah.
That's
kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
And your kids are...
Three of my kids were married by then. So that's great that John was able to be a part of all of that. Mm-hmm. We had one grandchild that had been born in May, and then my mom died 9 days after.
Oh, wow.
After he was born, and then our second grandchild was due in October, the end of October. Yeah. So we really were at that place, and then our third was married, no kids yet. Fourth had graduated college, was working in California. The Lord had brought him back in March. definitely a move of the Lord, even bringing him back to be able to spend those last months with his dad. And he had a really serious girlfriend, which he's now married to. So John got to meet her, and then Addison was 15. Was turning 15 in that September. So he was young. He was still in the house, and but most of our job, as far as that was done, and we were just entering into this new season of grandchildren. And so that was a lot, too, for him to be stepping out at that point. He loved children. He loved the grandchildren, and the kids loved him. It was hard. So we went home. We prayed about what to do, and John said, I just don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so we were like, okay, we'll pursue some natural things, and we'll just pray. Because 0% chance of survival anyways. So God.
Yeah, you can only go up from there at that point.
Exactly.
It's like,
So we began to have these prayer meetings in our home. We invited our friends and family and church community into the situation to come around us and support us and pray with us. And we'd get together 3 times a week or so, sometimes 4, and just open our house. And there were some really powerful prayer moments, and the Lord was speaking. I would have loved to have twisted things and been like, okay, he's saying that he's going to heal him. And God never said that. His message was, I'll take care of you.
Wow.
I'll be with you.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you. I'll take care of your family. You're going to be strengthened. Like all of the care and compassion and strength of the Lord was there, but there was never a word that I'm going to heal him. But I could have twisted things. I could have easily twisted prophetic words that we were getting and prayers and made myself feel better with, oh, the Lord's going to, but then it would have been a great disappointment in the end. So that's a wrestle. When you're going through something like that, you want it to come out good.
The optimal result of what you want. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So we plugged along, and John just continued to lose weight, continued to just decline in it. And I cared for him. He stayed home. I cared for him. I was stubborn and didn't let hospice in, because I felt like that was admitting defeat.
And I've never seen you be stubborn either, so
can't imagine. Can't imagine. But I also wanted to take care of him.
That, yeah.
And my kids were great. They were there. My friends were so good and helped. And even towards the end, it was 24/7 care. Like you couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And then in October, Ariel had to go in for that C-section. And it was scheduled for October 9th. She went in, and then they ended up putting, little Ellie was born, and she was so beautiful, but they had to put her in the NICU because she was early. And so then I have this struggle again. John's at home. He needs 24-hour care.
Yeah.
He wants to see the baby.
Yeah.
I need to go up there and support Ariel and see the baby. So there was that struggle. And so friends would come and care for John, and I was able to go up to the hospital. And then we were able to get John up to the hospital to be able to see his new grandbaby, his new granddaughter. And
I actually think I was at the hospital when John was there. I saw John with Addison, and I think it was around that time. I remember I saw John, and it was the first time I had seen John in a little bit because he was not, and I didn't recognize him at first. Yeah. And I think that's when he had I think that's what Addison was saying, but I remember that moment, Ariel just had the baby and John was there. And so,
Wow. It was hard. Yeah. It was, even just getting him in and out of the car. And but he wanted to see his granddaughter.
And John's also stubborn.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he was even holding out for that.
Yeah.
That kept him fighting for life, for that extra little bit.
Because he was a father, he was a husband, and that was more important than anything else.
Yes. Yeah. So he was able to see her. And then Ariel busted herself out a couple days later. She had to bust out of the NICU.
Yeah.
I'm going home. Yeah. My dad's dying. Can you imagine the wrestle that was even going on with her? I have no time for this right now. Yeah. Just give me my baby and let me go home. And so there was a lot of wrestle in that. And then John just declining. And on October 18th, all of the kids were able to come over. And I remember hospice had come that day. I let them come that day, invited them in. And now I look at it and think, why didn't I do that sooner?
Yeah.
Because they were such a help, such a blessing. But they were able to get him into bed. He had been sleeping in a recliner because he couldn't lay down. Just because of the pain and the things. But they were able to get him into bed and get things adjusted so that he could be in bed. And all of my kids and my two grandkids, they came over and we just prayed around the bed and worshiped. And it was just a beautiful time. And I remember Addison getting mad. I know you guys are giving up. What are you doing? Don't give up.
Yeah.
God can still do this. And we knew God could do it. But we felt the release of, I don't think he's going to. I think that we're just going to have to let go. And so everyone left. I was able to sleep in bed with my husband for the first time in months. Wow. I didn't sleep because I knew.
Yeah.
I knew it was close. And then, all night just listening for his breathing and checking his chest for his heartbeat. And the next morning, about 7:30, he stepped into eternity with Jesus. It was hard.
Yeah.
So hard to let him go. We grew up together. I always envisioned us growing old together.
Yeah.
All our grandchildren and just living life in retirement together and empty nesters having fun. And it just shattered the vision that I had for my life in every way, because everything I knew was wrapped up in him, in our life together, our kids, our grandkids, our ministry, everything we had fought through and for all of those years, putting Jesus at the center and changing the legacy in our family was done with him. And I just felt like I lost everything.
That's so painful. Even hearing it's like I knew the latter half of your story, but even hearing, like you just said, like the way that you guys came together from such brokenness, like in your homes, and wanted to start a fresh, like new life together in Jesus. That's what makes that loss, I feel like, so painful. Yeah. That's tough. That's so difficult. So difficult.
In that summer before John died, probably starting in July or so, before I knew what was happening, every time I would pray, every time I closed my eyes, every time that I'd be in a worship service, I would get a picture of a pine tree. It literally took up like the whole field of my vision. Like it was a vision from the Lord every time that I would step into his presence. And I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't had a lot of visions. And so I went to Pastor Lee and Jane and I asked them about it, and we just processed a little bit about it. And they challenged me to even look up, what does a pine tree represent? Yeah. And as I studied out what a pine tree represents, it's green in the winter. It has a deep taproot that gives it nourishment even when there's a drought. In any season, it's still getting the nutrients and the water that it needs. And I didn't fully understand, but looking back, I know that was the Lord letting me know that I was going to be entering into this winter season, but he was going to sustain me.
Yeah.
He would be with me in that season. And I'd stay green. I'd stay healthy. And so that's what I was entering into as.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine, like me and my wife's story is a little different. I mean, I thought she was going to die, was planning on her dying. She did 6 months of chemo and she made a miraculous recovery through that. But that thought of, was I like 23, 24 at the time? Maybe something like 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that. 23 years old when she was diagnosed. Been married for 3 years. And the idea of what you just, that pine tree picture of, okay, I'm stepping into this season and I'm going to be healthy. I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought I'd be anything but healthy. Yeah. Like, there's no way I could have walked through. Like, I mean, I say it now. The Lord would have brought me through that. Yes. But like, I imagine myself in that situation of losing my wife and thinking, there's no way I'm entering into a winter season of death. Like I'm done. Like that's just the pain of that loss and all of that. So for the Lord to show you that picture and then like, okay, it's this like the trust, the lack of trust, the confusion, the disappointment, the expectations, And
I don't want to send a message of, oh yeah, I knew the Lord was working and I knew I was going to get through that was the furthest thing from the truth.
Oh yeah.
I knew I was at a crossroads. I knew that I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
I could go down the road of anger and bitterness and get way off.
Yeah.
Or I could choose to go down the road of, I don't understand what is happening, but I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah.
And I had to intentionally make that decision even a number of times.
Yeah.
Because the emotions come and all the feels of what in the world, the anger and the depression. And I was reading through my journals last night from that season, just preparing for today. And I was like, wow, I was bipolar. I was all over the place. It's like reading the Psalms with David. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And it was a crazy season. And I didn't even know what I was feeling. But the Lord knew every step of the way exactly what I needed. And he'd throw out a life ring every time I felt like I was sinking. And it would get me another week or another month.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's never like okay, I'm good now. It's like the Lord is just like, okay, here's this is going to get you through today. This
Yes.
is going to get you this next week. This is that, like, I'm leading you one step at a time. Will you continue to let me lead you? And you want it to be, okay, just either solve it or kill me now. Like
Yes.
one of the two, like, but yeah. But it's never that.
No. And it feels like time is in slow motion at that point also.
Mm-hmm.
Time's weird. It's so fast, but it's so slow.
Yeah.
And so you really feel that in the midst of grief. But I did want to really focus in on one thing that happened in that helped me. After John died, there was such an outpouring of love and support and compassion from family, of course, but also from friends and from the body of the church, just coming around me. And even though I was in such a fog and didn't even realize what was happening, my refrigerator was so full. I probably could have eaten out of my refrigerator for a year if I even felt like eating.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you don't even eat.
Yeah.
But everybody that came over had food.
Yeah.
I would look out on my front porch and there'd be bags of groceries or there'd be a pot of Mums or just the beauty of the body, cards coming in the mail. And that didn't stop. You know, a lot of times people will lose people and for a week or two you have that outpouring, but then it stops. But that isn't really when you need it. You need it for the months in the next year.
Yeah.
And there was one just incredible woman in our church that for a number of years would send me a card on John's birthday, the anniversary of his death, and just sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet, just a sweet gifting. So anyone listening, like if you are walking with somebody, just know that those little things. And when people would ask me, what do you need? I had no clue what I needed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But when people would just do something, it blessed my heart so much. And I always, if you go back to the beginning of my story, obviously I struggled with identity and who I was. There was that root of rejection that was there. And through this process, the Lord just began to heal that identity issue that I had in me. And it wasn't just through works, but that was part of the puzzle along with what the Lord was.
Yeah, because the identity thing makes you feel alone. Like you're not wanted, rejected. And those, like you said, those little moments, that's what made you feel like you're not alone.
Yes.
Like and that was the thing that we realized too, when we were walking through Natasha's cancer and illness for so many years, so many times people would ask us, can we help you with anything? And it's just like, I don't know. Like, we're just trying to survive.
Right.
Like, we don't even know. I don't even know how many days we have. Like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, let alone give you information to help me. It's like, but it was those people that would just do something small. Like, I remember Caleb, Pastor Caleb here at Radiant we were back in Kansas City and the air conditioner in our car went out and the heat was like a lot of her symptoms were some skin itching related symptoms, and the heat would like just make it just flare up. And I didn't even tell him this, but he was like leading the student ministry group, took an offering to pay for our car to get a new air conditioning system put into it. And he shows up at our house and he was like, hey, here's like the whatever it was, like $800 to fix your air conditioner, but we got extra money, so I bought you a vacuum cleaner. And it was like a nice Dyson ball vacuum. He was like, I don't know, I just felt like you would like this. And it was like, it wasn't like, hey, we need a vacuum. It was just, hey, I just thinking of you guys, I just want to do something. And at that moment, it was this like, we're not alone. Like people are here. Like we're not alone. Like the Lord has surrounded us with people that those little acts of like love are what help you get the day by day by day. Now that vacuum didn't make us feel better for the rest of our lives, but it was that like, that's what we needed today.
Right.
That card, that little gift, that little thing. We needed that to remind us, okay, we're not alone. We're not alone. We're not alone. Yeah.
I remember something similar happening. Addison was at home. He was only 15.
Yeah.
And he was kind of lost in the grief, right? I'm lost. I'm in a fog.
Yeah.
And then I have my son that he's old enough to take care of himself, but like he needs mom too, and he needs stuff. But I remember a bunch of the guys, Pastor Caleb and Corey Asbury was here at the time, and a whole group of them. Like they just came and picked him up and took him to the mall and pick out a pair of tennis shoes, and that's a big deal for a young teenager. And so they just loved on him. Yeah. And it blessed my heart, but it blessed him also. Just people they know the sadness, they know the grief that we're walking through, and they just want to be a light in the midst of that. Just a little joy for a moment. So it was incredible. Yeah. Some other pastors had us over for dinner and, had like a tea kettle and a basket, just like stuff that I didn't.
The thing itself is not important.
Nope.
It's just the act of, hey, I see you, I'm here. I don't know if this is even helpful, but I just want you to know that I'm here. This is my way of showing love right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was incredible. And as all of that was transitioning, it's also John had his responsibilities at the church and his ministry. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, I was highly involved in all of that. I will just take care of that.
Yeah. It's the one thing I can do. Totally.
Yeah. And I was very much a works person. Yeah. I could get it done and make it happen. And so I would be a perfect fit. Yep. Just step right in.
Probably easier than dealing with grief and sadness.
Absolutely.
Just throwing yourself at work. Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure that's what I was thinking. And I probably didn't even realize that. It was just survival mode.
Exactly.
It was just, and all of these people. Who's going to take care of these people?
Yes, yeah.
Like I need to step in and I need to make sure things continue to function. And I remember leadership at the church calling me in, and we had a meeting about it. And, I proposed my idea, and that was not their idea at all. And they're so wise.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful because really that was the catalyst to my healing. And they said, 1 year.
Yeah.
No ministry.
Yeah.
We just want you get some counseling. Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm getting defensive. And are you saying I'm crazy?
Yeah.
What are you saying here? I'm so much wiser now. Totally understand the process so much better now. Yeah. But I was defensive, and that was the last thing I wanted. Yep. How in the world was I going to sit home and not do anything and sit in my grief and just be sad?
I don't want to feel.
I don't want to do any of that. But it was God's mercy on me in that moment. And so I started my year sabbatical. I didn't want to do it. I was angry. I was sad. I didn't even know how to do it. I didn't even know how to just sit still in God's presence. But he just began to teach me. And he gave me this at the very beginning, gave me this really cool vision of, if you're in the counseling world, you'll get this. But we're body, soul, and spirit. Mm-hmm. And when they show it in a counseling format, they're in circles and they overlap. Yeah. They affect one another. Mm-hmm. But the Lord gave me a picture of the 3 circles totally separate. Mm. And he said, I want you to attend to each one every day. Yeah. And so that became my mission. Mm-hmm. Every day, I was intentionally doing something for my body. Mm. I was doing something for my soul, and I was doing something for my spirit intentionally every single day. And they do affect one another. Yep. And all 3 are really important. And a lot of times we get in this cycle of grief and we're all over the place. We're this pinball that's bouncing all over the place because there is so much
we inevitably forget about something to try to survive in some other area. Yeah.
Correct. So it was just the Lord's mercy and his plan to bring healing to my life and to even give me a testimony to be able to help others as they're walking through grief and give them some intentional things that they can do on a daily basis to work through the fog and the sadness and the anger and just all of the feels. And the body keeps the score. Like physically things happen in your body when you're working through grief. And so if you're not attending to those things, if you're just stuffing and not attending to it,
it's going to catch up to you.
It will.
Yep.
You'll be unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so that was huge. Doing that.
How are we doing on notes so far? Pretty good.
So at that point, I began to just go through all of the firsts.
Yeah.
Here we are. He died October 19th, 2018. So we're stepping into birthdays. A bunch of birthdays in our family are in the fall. Then we're stepping into Thanksgiving.
Yep.
How can we change this so that it's different? So we're handling everything in a different way.
Yeah. How do you remember and honor?
Yeah.
But also not just like dwell and just like and sit in that like sadness, you know? How do you healthfully move on but also not forgetting? And it's like, but then those anniversaries just sneak up and hit you in the face, you know, and
Yeah, it's definitely a bipolar movement through grief because you feel so strong in a moment and then the next minute you're just doubled over. Like you literally got sucker punched. Yeah. And it's like, where did that come from? Yeah. It's the craziest thing. And you think about the way the Lord made marriage. We're yoked together. The two become one. Mm-hmm. There's a separating that has to happen. And that is literally what it would feel like. Yeah. Like those cords were just being ripped off from me as I walked through the process and that separation happening. Yeah. It's crazy because it's so spiritual. It's so divine the way that the Lord made it. But it's so real.
Yeah. When you rip apart two things that have been super glued, it doesn't come apart cleanly.
No.
Yeah.
No. So it was messy. So we got through the birthdays, we got through Thanksgiving, you know, we did something totally different. I was not in any shape to cook.
Just to throw out the turkey. Yeah.
My chef daughter, Ariel, to the rescue. You know, she made dinner and my kids were so good. And then for Christmas, you know, after Thanksgiving, it was always tradition. The day after Thanksgiving, we'd set up all the Christmas stuff. And I didn't want to do that. Like I didn't want time to even go on. Yeah. So that was a bit of a wrestle, but yet Addison was still at home and I didn't want it to be crazy either. So I remember
that's so like, so when we went through our when we went through our cancer, we had no kids. So that's like a way different. When you have kids and you're walking through this, like I can't imagine, like we had the freedom to at least be able to express how we needed to express and be as insane as we needed to be and as shut down as we needed to. But then when you have like a child living at home with you, like you still have, like you said, I still have to be a mom. Like I still have, like, it's like, that is like, oh my gosh, like when walking through that intensity with Ball still like you didn't, at that point you didn't have the job. Like you're like, I'm pulling out for the year, but you can't just like take a break from your child, you know, and that's so difficult.
Ooh, hopefully I didn't too much. I'll have to ask him.
Addison is an incredible kid. He's newly married, an amazing guy. I think you did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
So I think
Thank you. By the grace of God.
By the sheer grace of God, yeah.
Because that initial time it was so foggy, and I'm sure I neglected him. Yeah. Don't turn me in. CPS or anything, right?
He's above age now, so he's good.
That's right. He survived. He survived. And I have a good friend who's a counselor, and I would talk to her about it, and she gave me a few things to do because he's not, at 15, you're not very talkative either. You don't even know what you're feeling.
Yeah, 15-year-old boys aren't normally like, hey, this is how I'm feeling about this right now. Yeah, for sure.
So he was going to counseling. I was going to counseling, and that was probably the best thing I did was made him go to counseling, and it was really good for him. But when they're young like that, it takes them a lot longer, many more years to work through grief because they're just not old enough yet. They're just not, their brain isn't totally developed and they're figuring out how to process. And so it takes a lot longer, but it gave him a great foundation. And I think that he's doing really well today also. So thank you for that, Sean.
Yes, of course. So you're going through your first, wrestling through the expectations, don't really want to keep going, but you also have to keep going.
Right. Yeah. So moving into Christmas, so I ordered a new Christmas tree. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something different. Yeah. Something a little more trendy. Ordered the skinny flock tree.
Oh, I hate those skinny flock trees. I always call them those flocking trees. I hate those so
They make a mess.
Yeah.
But it was cute.
Yeah.
So just finding some joy in a few little things like that. But I didn't put stockings up that year. Yeah. I just remember thinking through in my mind, if I put up the stockings every day, I'm going to see that John's not here. And I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So I know I didn't do any stockings that year. I hope I didn't scar Addison in the midst of it. But I'm sure he understood.
I'm sure.
So we got past Christmas. We went to Florida. That was a great just change of scenery and infusion of some vitamin D.
Yeah,
and
which is legit. It's real.
Huge.
Yeah.
Just a great time. The whole family went, and we just had a great week. But it still is weird.
Yep.
Because my husband wasn't there. We did family vacations a lot, so he normally would be there. And then came back, got into the Sikh season. And it was good, but it just was a first, right? Not planning a fast with my husband and going to church without him. That was one of the hardest things, especially in the beginning. I didn't know where to sit.
Yeah.
Like the little things of, I'm not staff anymore. I don't have my husband to sit with. I don't even know what to do right now.
Yeah. Wow.
So those things were hard, but during Seek, we had a speaker in, Lauren Covarrubias.
Yeah.
And he was preaching his message. He's just going at it. And then mid-message, he had a prophetic word. And he said, there is somebody here that is going through something that they never envisioned themselves to be going through. And they probably even asked, why? I can't believe that this is happening to me. I never envisioned it. And I
remember this word.
Do you really?
Yeah.
It was.
But he didn't say your name.
No.
Yeah.
But the weight of it in my spirit was so heavy. Yeah. Like I knew this word was for me.
Yeah.
And so he said, you even said, I didn't think that this would happen to me. And God says, I'm reading directly from my journal because I want to make sure that I get this right. But God says, don't say in your mind what or why. No what ifs or whys, because those will paralyze you. You have not been this way before, but my presence is with you, and I am taking you through, says the mighty God. Keep your eyes on the mighty God. Keep your eyes on him, because he is going to take you into the promised land. You're going to find out that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. You've never went this way before, but it is leading you to something awesome. And I'm speaking to the body in the macro, but also to the micro in the prototype, who was me. That was me, the prototype. Don't feel alienated or cut off. God is doing something because you are his child. You are going to rise up and you're going to walk in his sight. And I knew the Lord was speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
In that sanctuary, I felt like all of the spotlights were on me. I'm looking around thinking, does anyone know that God just broke through the clouds and spoke this audible word to me? It was so powerful, but so timely.
Yeah.
And God knew exactly what I needed to build my identity, to begin to bring health and healing to me. I mean, we were only a few months in. It was only 3 months into the grief process, but that was the lifeline I needed in that moment to keep me moving forward in the process.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because not like haha funny. It's interesting because I've always kind of gone on this idea that the Lord, when he speaks to us, typically it's like, that was probably a 60-second thing, and it's like that 60-second encounter is what is going to drive you through the next 60 years. It's like that little moment is the thing that you needed to get you through this next like season of life. Not like, okay, God spoke that to me today, what's he going to speak to me tomorrow? It's like, no, that was it. That was the thing that was you needed to like steward and remember over these years. It's like the seconds for the years. And so it's interesting that you said that, because I've found that a lot in my life and in others' lives. But yeah, that's crazy.
In the scripture in there, Romans 8:28, God works all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. Like, that is my life motto. That proved to me that God really does. He doesn't miss a thing. Nothing falls to the ground in God's presence. He is always working. And even when we don't see it, he is doing it. And just keep going. Because you're going to look back and you're going to see how that worked together for good in your life. So that was the fuel that I needed in the midst of a dark and dreary winter in Michigan. Like, that was the thing that I needed to keep me going. And my life looked like going out and taking a walk with the Lord, crying and praying and poring over the scriptures. The Passion Translation was my go-to that whole season, like just weeping and pouring through the Psalms and the Passion Translation and just feeling all of the feels.
I'm sure your prayers were like super clean and liturgical and
as I said,
proper.
As I said, when I read through my journal, bipolar, crazy, all over the place. One minute I was going to die and I was going to quit and I was done. And the next, like, this is, God's so awesome. And I did a study on Job and just the beauty of Job's story just obviously came alive to me in that season. And even beginning to pray for, let my story end the way that Job's story ended. Like, there was even hope in that.
And it ended with no answers. Just ended with God's like, I'm here. Like, why are you questioning me? But then God like blesses and provides, but there's no answers to the why. Why did Job
exactly.
go?
Exactly.
And like, it's so,
and I had gotten my charge. Don't ask why or what if. And that became my life skill. I'm not asking why or what if. Like, there's some wrestle in it, but you can become paralyzed. Just like Lauren said, you can become paralyzed in that. Why did this happen? Because none of it made sense in the natural. It was just crazy that I even found myself in this place. So that brought a lot of freedom, and it just started that process of healing. And kind of crazy because I had that 1 year of sabbatical.
Mm-hmm.
We came to October 2019 and nothing. Yeah. Nothing. There wasn't, and I knew enough to not make anything happen in my own strength.
Yeah.
Like by that point, I was totally surrendered. Like if you can get below the ground, I was just on my face and knew that God was in charge and everything was in his timing. And really, I don't think I even had expectations at that point. I think I was at the place of, I'm going to be happy with whatever the Lord does. Like I wanted things, but I really had no clue what it was going to look like. We did marriage ministry. It's really hard to do marriage ministry by yourself.
Let me interrupt you real quick. What, after that 1 year of walking through grief, walking like through building your identity apart from John and going through those firsts and having those walks and wrestles and prayers and crying and counseling, all that kind of stuff, what was one of your, like, I don't want it to sound too clean of an answer, like, but I can't think of a better word. What was your biggest takeaway from like what you learned about yourself and from the Lord through that process? I mean, again, that's only a year. Right. So it's been some time since then and you've learned and grown even more. But after walking through that, what is like, when I look back over that year, this was the fruit that I carried out of that. Yeah.
I would say being a Mary instead of a Martha. Wow. I had gone a lot of years of being a Mary, doing.
Or being a Martha.
Being a Martha and doing, and even everyone at the church knew, like, if you wanted something done, have Melissa do it. And I was very good at serving and making things happen and organizing things. But in that year, I really became a Mary.
Yeah. I
sat at the feet of Jesus and
it was good enough.
And it was so good.
Yeah.
It was better. It was better than, I don't even, there isn't an adjective that you can use to explain. I realized who I am, my identity. I'm his daughter. And I realized, probably even bigger than that, was I realized that he loved me.
Yeah.
And he was proud of me.
Yeah.
He saw me. He was so intentional so many times through those years to speak to me and show me and give me exactly what I needed, the word that I needed, and all of those lifelines that he was throwing to me, and, you know, just dreams and visions and conversations. And there was just so much in that I realized how real he is and what a good father he is. It changed my whole perspective on everything. Yeah. On life, on ministry, everything. Yeah. And it really did bring me to a place of, like, I want to do things for the Lord and help other people, but I'm willing to do whatever he asks as long as I can have him. Yeah. You know, just like Moses said, if your presence doesn't go with us, I don't want to go. Yeah. And that was truly where I was at. Yeah. I was ready to do something at that point, and nothing was coming. And I just had to sit in that and learn patience. Yeah. And then I remember, like, we went through the holidays of that year and still nothing was happening. And I was still going to staff meeting at Radiant, just more as a social and community, connecting with friends on staff, and also getting that teaching on a weekly basis. But in January of 2020, we were entering into that Seek season. And I remember being in staff, and the Lord gave me a vision of this desolate city. Everything was brown. Nobody was moving around. Like, it was dead. And I remember hearing the Lord's voice almost audibly. It was so strong, and he said, wilderness.
Yeah.
And
which is not a fun word to hear. So strong.
And especially, I'd gone through the year, and now we're another 2 or 3 months into it, and I did get mad.
Yeah.
I got angry with the Lord, and I remember
I've done the wilderness. Yeah.
I did this.
I did this already.
I did what you asked me to do.
Yeah.
Why can't I do something? Just throw me a bone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was mad, and I really feel like I turned my back in that moment, and it was a few weeks later, and all of the COVID stuff happened, and I remember praying and talking to the Lord about it, and really even seeing, you were trying to talk to me about the season of COVID that we're stepping into, and I took it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took it as a reflection of me and the place you were taking me personally, and I'm sorry. And I just had to repent. And I remember even laughing, thinking, man, I could have had the corner on the market here. I could have had this prophetic word.
Yeah, wrote the first book on COVID. Yeah.
Made a lot of money. Messed that one up. Yeah. So,
hey, we learned.
So we entered into COVID, and that really slowed things down.
Yeah, which
obviously.
In your mind, that's the other expectation thing. In your mind, it's, I go through this loss. I'm walking through the wilderness. I'm going through healing. I'm taking this rest. I'm now ready to come back. And the Lord's like, actually, no. And there's more to happen here. And that's painful. That's like, again, you had kind of even said, like, I'm trying not to have expectations on this. But even those non-expectations are still getting hit, so. Yeah.
Wild. It was wild.
Frustrating.
It was frustrating, but it also was God's mercy because he wasn't done.
Yeah.
Like he had more. This was a slow roll.
Yeah. It's a long game.
It's a long game. And when you're in grief, you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
You just want that sadness to leave.
Yes.
You want that loneliness to leave.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people choose the wrong thing out of that place.
Yeah.
Like, because they just...
You don't want to feel, you want to be done. You want to move
hard.
On. Yeah.
You're so sad.
Yeah.
It hurts. You're so sad.
Yeah.
And you're so lonely. And it just aches. And there's nothing that can fix it.
Yeah.
And so we go through, COVID's happening, get into the beginning of summer, and I felt like the Lord said, go back to school. And so by that time I'm like, okay, maybe there's nothing for me to do at the church. And all these people from Colorado came. They've got all the seats filled on the bus. Like they were killing it at the church. Everything was going really well. And even through COVID, they did a great job. And so I started feeling like there wasn't a place for me, but I knew I had the Lord.
Yeah.
That was my strength in that season. And when he said, go back to school, I started just checking everything out. What is that going to look like? Checking KBCC out. I could go into social work. That kind of fits with doing ministry. And I applied and got all my classes lined up. And then I remember sitting in service one Sunday during the summer, and they announced that Radiant School of Ministry was going to be starting in the fall, that Pastor Toby was moving here. Some staff members were coming with him, and they were going to be launching this. And I just heard the Lord say, that's what I want you to do. Yeah. So I pulled out of my college classes. I applied for RSM. And in my mind, it was almost a step back, right? Yeah. Remember, I said I had done Radiant School of Ministry 1.0. I had been married to an elder and a pastor. And so I'm like, what is happening here? Like, but you told me to do it, Lord, so I'm going to be obedient in it. And it was beautiful because I got all signed up. They got me situated into the launch program, which is working adults. Haha, I wasn't working. But I was old. Working adults that want to transition into full-time ministry is what the launch program is for.
Which is something you were doing before. And so it's like there's so much weirdness about that for
so
you,
weird.
I'm sure, yeah.
But these guys had come, Pastor Toby and his crew, they had come from New York. They had no clue who I was, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? I could step into this place, take these classes, go through their program, and they weren't the wiser.
Yeah.
And I could just be obedient to what the Lord was doing, and there wouldn't be any of this awkwardness or craziness.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I just began to pour myself into taking the classes and doing the work, and it was great. And we got through most of the first year, and I remember Pastor Toby asking me if I would come help with a full-time retreat that they were doing and speak at it. Even I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
it was a scripted script, but still, I felt very honored at that time. I knew he still probably didn't know my story, maybe a little bit of it just from different assignments that we had to do, but not the full extent of what was happening. And so the Lord was just training me and teaching me and brought me to this position. You know, I went to this retreat, did my part, and they were checking me out to see, hey, would she be a good fit with the staff for Radiant School of Ministry? So then that summer they asked me if I would come on and intern the following year. Well, I was finishing up the launch program because that was a 2-year program. Yeah. So I accepted that. And in the meantime, so now we're looking at, okay, it's been 3 years.
Okay, yeah,
since John had died, and
which is still not a long time.
Not a long time. Yeah. But time is weird.
Yeah,
it felt like forever.
Yes,
and so much had changed, and I really felt the Lord stirring me maybe to start dating. Yeah, which is so scary. Yeah, we had been married for 25 years, so just the whole idea of dating. Yeah. Yuck. And the way you date in this day and age is way different, you know. Yeah. Dating apps. And so my daughter made me a profile and it was terrible. I went on one date that was to church.
Wait, the date was at church?
Yeah, we went to church. Like he was from out of town. We went to a different church. Oh, okay. And his profile picture was probably from 20 years prior. But when I got there, you know, I was stuck.
He's like, this still looks like me.
So it was terrible. And then I knew people at the church. And so they invited us out to lunch. So it even got worse.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Where I'm like, I just want to run.
That's an odd date.
It was terrible. And then I went on one more date. I hope he never listens to this, but he was a widow. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a widow. I'm going to meet a widower that has the perfect story, and it's going to be this perfect story. Maybe he'll even be a pastor. Yeah. I don't know. Cinderella's story at 50. Yeah. So he was a widower, and so we go on a date, and literally, I think he would have married me the next week. Yeah. And he hadn't even had the 1-year anniversary of his wife dying yet. So I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So ran away from that one. So I'm like, this is not for me. Yeah. I cannot do this. Yeah. And I really felt the Lord even saying, just slow your roll down here. Yeah. You know, you're moving back into that Martha mindset and trying to make things happen on your own. Yeah. And it probably wasn't very much longer. And I was at the prayer room upstairs, and Jane was there. It was a morning prayer, and she leans over and she's like, hey, who's that guy up there? Have you ever met him before? And I was like, no clue. Never seen him before in my life. And she's like, well, he's here every day. Yeah.
Jane, just in her master puppeteering.
And she's like, he doesn't have a wedding ring on. And I was like, oh, he was kind of good looking. Yeah. And so that kind of opened this door to, we need to figure out who this guy is. Yeah. So I began to ask around, and nobody knew who he was. Yeah. He just appeared on the scene from who knows where. And we'd call him Mr. Lexus because he drove a Lexus.
Yeah, that's incredible.
We had no clue what his name was, how old he was, anything, what he did. And it's still kind of COVID era. Yeah. So I'm like, does he not have a job? Yeah. He's in his shorts.
Did you say he's in shorts?
He was in shorts at the 8 a.m., the morning prayer time.
That's a bold move. Yeah.
I know, right? And then some days he would come really dressed up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe he has a job.
Yeah. Yeah, or he's bipolar too. Right. Who knows?
So I'm making all of these assumptions, and I tried to talk to him, and he was having nothing to do with me. He literally would walk all the way around the other side of the room so he wouldn't have to walk past me. And then it started getting weird. Like, does he think I'm weird? Yeah. Like, what is... Yeah. I just want him to... in my heart, I really just wanted him to get connected to. It wasn't even, we're going to get married someday. Yeah. But for his sake, you need to build community at the church, and I don't want to just see somebody coming in and going out. And then I started seeing him at Saturday night services at Richland, and I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah. And that went on for a while, probably a couple months. Yeah. And then Pastor Lee, Jane's giving him the elbow. Hey, check into this guy. What's going on here? And so he cornered him in the prayer room. And of course, he knew something was up at that point. Well, why is he interrogating me right now? So Pastor Lee got his name. Of course, we could check out all of the different things online to make sure that he was safe and was a good man. So I had the intel and knew that he was a good guy, but he still wouldn't talk to me. Yeah. But I felt that, even in the spirit, I don't want to over-spiritualize this, but I did feel like the Lord was leading me that direction. And at one point in the middle, before I knew his name, the Lord had given me a prophetic word in the middle of prayer one day, and I wrote it down in my journal and just left it there. I didn't know who it was for or what it had to do with, and I knew the Lord would circle back around at some point and have me share that with somebody, but that was there. And then in mid-August, the Holy Spirit one night was like, hey, I want you to pull out your journal and read through that. And so I was doing that, just reading through, and I came across that prophetic word, and he was like, that's for Rob. I want you to go to prayer Friday morning, and I want you to give that to him. And I'm like, that's weird. Yeah. I don't want to look like the weird church lady that's running around giving prophetic words looking for a date or something. I just felt all of this weirdness in it. And it was crazy because all night I kept waking up and was literally wrestling with the Lord about this. And I remembered getting up in the morning, and I didn't normally go to prayer on Friday mornings, and this was a Friday morning, and the Holy Spirit said, this is an open door. I want you to walk through it. And I had prayed that since John died. Give me an open door, Lord, and I will walk through it. And he said that to me, and I just couldn't deny it. I knew it was him. Yeah. I knew, okay, I need to leave at this time so I can be downtown to park, and was hoping for it not to be a weird, if this is you, Lord, make it all line up. And so I'm sitting there waiting to leave, and it was probably 5 minutes before I would have left, and I felt like the Holy Spirit was like, go now. So jumped in my car, drove down there, and I pull over, park, and sure enough, right behind me, he pulls up and parks, and I'm just like,
No getting out of this one.
Okay, I'm not getting out of this one. This is something you want me to do, and I can't even look at it as for me, but for him. You're obviously doing something in his life. So he's sitting in the car. I walk up, kind of knock on the window. Weirdo. I'm up on the curb, sedan's down. It's just weird. So he got out of the car, thank goodness, what a gentleman he is. And I told him the story briefly, so it wasn't really weird, and gave him the card that I had wrote this prophetic word in. And we walked into prayer, and I'm like, do I sit with him? Do I sit behind? This is weird.
Do we hold hands now? Yeah. What's the situation like now?
Do we kiss? Everything has changed now. So I just hung back, sat a couple rows back, and then he pulls the card out and starts reading it. And the pressure of that, of, oh boy, Lord, I hope this is on. I hope I heard you correctly. And so he read it, and I could just tell by his demeanor, like it hit. And he just turned around and thanked me. And then we went through the prayer meeting, and after prayer, he walked me out to my car and was like, hey, would you want to get coffee at some point? And I was like, sure. This is awesome. And so that just really began our journey but there was a lot of restoration happening in his life.
Got it,
too. So it was a slow roll. And, we dated for 18 months and then had to come to a place of, all right, like.
So what was that 18 months? Like you mentioned earlier when you were talking about going through that 1 year of grief, you're balancing being a wife who has lost her husband, but you're also a mom who's taking care of like her child. So there's like that balance. So like now you're out of it, but you're some years down that road, and you said you dated for 18 months. What was the balance like for that for you as you're dating again? So there's this new life, but also I'm sure there's memories of old life. Like, what was that like for you?
So hard.
Yeah.
Especially the first 6 months to a year, all those firsts again, right?
Yeah.
So I remember initially sitting together in church.
Yeah.
Like I was almost embarrassed.
Yeah.
And this inner feeling of I'm cheating on my husband, and everybody here knows it.
Everyone thinks it. Everyone's saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had been at Radiant for 25 years or whatever, and here I'm sitting in church with another man.
Mm-hmm.
I felt dirty. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for him because, of course, he doesn't know.
He's just like, hey, this is great.
Right, this is great.
I'm having a good time.
This is great. And it was interesting because I don't even remember what kind of service it was, but I know it was an evening service. It wasn't a Sunday morning. It was an evening service. I don't know if it was a Saturday night or what, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But one of my friends and her husband were sitting with us, and her husband was best friends with John. And so they sat together, and so that felt divine. Like the Lord had set that up. And then after,
because it could have gone different.
It could have gone very differently. And I felt like he gave me the stamp of approval. And he even felt like the Lord gave him a head nod of yes, this is good. And then after service, there were two more people that we ran into in the lobby area that both had spoke at John's celebration of life. So they were very close friends. And I just felt like that was the Lord putting his stamp of approval on what I was doing, even though in the natural, it felt so unnatural and felt weird. And there were a lot of emotions involved in that. Like there was the excitement of, this guy's great and he loves Jesus. That was one of the things. I want somebody that loves Jesus. And he was meeting with Jesus in the prayer room on a daily basis. And it was good, but hard. And then a few weeks later, we had a prophetic presbytery here. And so Rob and I went to that. And we're sitting, and still really nobody knows in the church because it had only been a few weeks. It was very premature. And Rob gets a word in season.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think I remember this moment. Yeah. I don't remember the word, but I remember this moment. Yeah.
So John Perminsky gives him a word in season. And of course, all cameras pan on us. And I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm just like, can I?
Yeah.
It's like, remember when they caught the adulterous couple?
Yeah, the Coldplay concert. Yeah.
It almost felt like that. Even though I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. But there's that shame. There's there's
the newness, the
yeah.
really letting go of the old life and
yeah.
being true to his legacy and who John was and the beauty of our marriage and our family and the legacy that's going to go forth. Oh, it was crazy.
Tough.
I wanted to hide under the seat at that moment, but it was a great word.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Perminsky.
Yeah.
It was accurate, and it really paralleled the word that the Lord had given me for him in that card. And,
that's crazy.
And those are things that he pulls out regularly, even now, just to remind himself of what the Lord's doing. And so that's cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But then moving forward, then it's bringing him to a family event and meeting all my kids. And my kids all thinking, we're going to be cool with this. Oh, boy. The first party, it was rough.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they even expected it. Just the love for their father, and then being faced with this idea of
you don't know
he's being replaced, which isn't true, but the emotions were high.
Yeah.
And I remember just wanting to be so mad at them and even the situation. Like, why am I even in this situation? Why does this even have to be?
Yeah.
And Rob is an innocent bystander in it.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't, even for your children, it's like logically they can think whatever, like they can prep themselves as much as they want. And then you step in that situation and logic's not playing this game right now. It's memories and heart and hurt and trauma that unresolved and thinking it has been resolved and all those things, all that stuff just starts coming up to the surface. Yeah.
So that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Crazy. And then we had to go through all the holidays, you know, and now they're at a place where, okay, Rob's got a family and he has 3 boys and his mom's still alive. And, you know, so my time split a little bit also. So them having to reconcile with that and not get angry in that. And like, cause this looks different than it has in the past. But yet wanting me to be happy and have someone. I'm young. Yeah. I have a lot of years to live and they didn't want me to be alone. Yeah. So all the while I'm doing launch, doing my classes and working RSM full time and, you know, interning with them through the year. And it just was so much change. Yeah. Because I went from doing nothing and being in this total sabbatical mode and rest mode to all on doing everything, classes and working and developing a new relationship. And but it was powerful. And I felt like I was doing it differently than I had ever done it in my life before. Like my posture, I was doing all of this from a place of rest. Wow. It really transitioned the way, my mode of working. Yep. And that's something that I've been able to continue in that. And I'm so appreciative for that place of Mary instead of that place of. That's
what I was thinking back to is the wrestle you had earlier in this conversation between Mary and Martha. And naturally you were a Martha and the Lord was drawing you to be a Mary. And she was at rest because of her identity. Yes. And so that doesn't mean that you don't work anymore. Right. It's that, but your work comes from that identity and that place of rest. There's a peace. Yeah. Like when you do work, when you do things, it comes from a peaceful rest as opposed to this, I have to do this in order to be blank, 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 and so, yeah.
Yeah. So it was beautiful and calming.
Yeah.
There was a lot of peace in the midst of the craziness and the transition and everything happening. And it was good. It was good. The Lord had really solidified my identity, who I was in Him, beloved daughter.
Yeah.
And He loves me, and He wants to give me good gifts.
Yeah.
He wants to take care of me. And I just know that. That's just in me now. And everything that I do is the outflowing of that trust. He's faithful. I'm faithful to Him because He's so faithful to me. And that's my life's mantra, that faithfulness of the Lord. And it goes both directions. We have to be faithful to Him, but He is so faithful to us. And
we're not faithful to Him so that He'll be faithful to us. Yeah.
Because He's faithful to us. It's just the outworking of that faithfulness that He has towards us.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, so continued on through that year, got through it, and I remember Pastor Toby coming to me and saying, hey, we'd love to have you come on full-time as a staff member, not interning anymore. What do you feel like the Lord's saying in that? And I said the good answer, let me pray about that. And which I really felt that. Yeah. Because I loved, there were two paths, right? There was part-time, which looked a lot like the passion that the Lord had put in my heart years and years before, discipling the congregation. Yeah. But then there was full-time in these young adults in something new. And it was, okay, Lord, are you wanting me to step into something that's totally different and new and have that be my ministry? Or are you bringing me back to this place of that passion and that desire that you put in my heart so many years ago to disciple the congregation at Radiant Church? And so I took a little bit of time, and boy, there were it was a wrestle.
Two great things.
Yes. Yeah. And beauty in both of those. And I could see God working in either one. And we had a meeting set up. I had a meeting set up with Pastor Toby, and I didn't have an answer that morning. And I went to morning prayer, and I'm like, Lord, we've got to flesh this out. We got to figure this out. I mean, I obviously could ask for more time, but He just very profoundly told me part-time that morning. And so came into the meeting with Pastor Toby, and I told him, how things went, and felt like the Lord was saying part-time. And he said, that's exactly what I feel like the Lord's saying to me. And so let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Let's run with it. And so I was able to, at that point, take the rest of the summer and hone things in and train up some leaders, and was kind of coming at it with a new concept and recruiting people to come into the part-time program. And we started that fall with around 70 or 75 students, which was a lot more than we had ever had. But I was able to put all of my focus, and I had been at the church a long time. I had a lot of influence with different people. And so I was asking people personally, hey, I want to join the part-time program. And working on building these leaders to be table leaders. We use this concept where we have table leaders, and they lead the 5 other students at their table. And because it's impossible for one person to lead 75 people, we need to break it down. So we started doing that, and we developed this small group time where they could build relationships and community at the tables. And it just took off and began to be a really powerful ministry here in the church to be able to develop disciples in our congregation.
Yeah.
The full-time program really zeroes in on training up these young adults and then sending them to do their thing, where part-time we're developing leaders within our own congregation to rise up and be able to disciple other people and pray for other people. And our job is to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry, and that's what the part-time program's doing. So it's been a privilege to be able to lead that, develop it, and I'm kicking off my 4th year this year, so things are just continuing to grow. And now we've gone out to the network. We have 2 network churches that are doing the program in their own local body. So that's been fun, kind of an apostolic move in the part-time program, all the while keeping our program running here. So it's been fabulous. And then with Rob and I, so God restoring that ministry, but also my relationship with Rob and growing that, and it's just been built on the right things. It's been beautiful. Not that it was perfect. You know, we've had our struggles and our things, and he had to come to a place of, do I want to get married? Like, he had a lot of pain from the past in that area, and had been divorced for a lot of years, and stepping into that vulnerable place of getting married. He was scared. He was scared. And we had a pastor who was mentoring us, him and his wife, and you know, he had to come to the place of, hey, you're going to have to make a decision. And I had to come to that place of, like, we have to make a decision. I'm not just dating to have fun. I love marriage. I believe in marriage. I believe in the covenant, that in the way that God ordained that. And so he had a powerful word from the Lord, and knew that that was what he was called to do, was to marry me. So we began, like we were talking about it, and began planning the first of the year in 2023. And got married in April of 2023, and it was beautiful. It just was a beautiful wedding. It was a beautiful day. It was simple but elegant. And it was really cool because it wasn't any of those things when I married John. And so it just, it was different. It was different. And I had all of my friends and family and all the people that have supported me through the years. And it just was a celebration, because I felt like everybody in the room was celebrating everything that the Lord had done.
It becomes a testimony of the Lord.
It was. It was beautiful. And then we got on a plane and went to Costa Rica for a week. And it was just, it's just been cool. Hard. Because then you step into
a bunch of firsts again.
Okay, we both own homes. What do we do with that? And
exactly.
We're both stubborn. I wanted my house, he wanted his house. I lost. Which is fine. You know, so I sold my house and tried to squeeze my way into his house, right? He had a full life. He had 3 kids. I had all my stuff, and just trying to, and not feeling like I fit. And so there was all of that transition. And we did some remodeling projects to make it ours. Like, that was one of the things we decided, okay, we'll do this, and then it's ours. And so,
do you feel like those firsts ever got easier? Like, you had the firsts after John died, and then you had the firsts again, like after like going back into dating, and then you had the first again going into marriage. Like, were every single one of those first, you know, coming out of grief and loss, were they all just the same difficulty? Or did you feel like it got easier as you got on, because as you walked through some with the Lord? Or I mean, what was that like?
I would definitely say it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. When John died, that was the deepest cavern level ever. And the Lord really, as he walked me through that process, just proved to me all work all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And I felt that to my core and knew that. So the rest of it, I could lean on that and know that was, he was working.
Yeah.
And even because then you also have, I was married to John for 25 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, John didn't do it that way. So there's a beauty in Rob is totally different. His personality, everything is totally different than John. His hobbies, everything that he does is totally different. And there's a beauty in that.
Yeah.
But there's also a wrestle in that because I knew how John would react to things or how he would do things.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Your commitment grows as your marriage grows and the depth of that. And so there were some of that where it went a lot quicker than it does in a young marriage because we both had so much life experience.
Yeah.
And I had done a lot of marriage ministry. Like I knew all the things.
Yeah.
Not everything, but I knew some. I knew some,
Yeah.
a few. I knew a few things.
More than you did at like 25.
Exactly. Exactly. So it definitely was a lot faster. And I always felt like the Lord had things on acceleration mode anyways, even for Rob. Because even his story, and that's for another day, but just him coming to the point of surrender and the Lord just accelerated things in his life. And I always joke about how he's going to understand the Bible more than me any day now. Like I've been walking with the Lord for 30 some years and he is catching up rapidly.
Yeah.
And so I felt that in it. But it's really cool. And I'm so expectant for what the Lord, like we're just coming to this place of, okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
And even though the Lord's restored things in my personal life, he's restored things in my ministry. And it's so much better than it was.
Yeah.
It's like on steroids.
Yeah.
Crazy what the Lord does. And it's just like the story in Job. It's different.
Yep.
But it's so good.
Yeah. As we kind of like land the plane on this, what's something that you would say to somebody who is like, so you are, a few years, 7 years past, not like done, but it's the 7 years down the road, farther down the road.
Yeah.
And maybe someone's listening to this or watching this and they're in month 3 or, day 4 or something, or maybe year 2 and it's hard, but what would you say to that person as you've now walked this road for the last 7 years that you wish you heard or knew at that time, like month 1 and
I'm so sorry is the first thing that I would say because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk through. The grief is real. And it's so deep. And I don't think anyone who hasn't experienced it realizes the depth of the sadness and the loneliness that you feel.
Yeah.
Those whys and what ifs that keep trying to rear their ugly head in those times. But I think spending time with the Lord and grabbing a hold of a word from him, those were the lifelines he kept tossing to me. And I had to intentionally make room for that. Sean, I could have gone back to work. I could have stuffed it. I could have put my boots on, pulled them up by the bootstraps and just
put those noise canceling headphones on and just shut out and just
easily. And that would have been my MO. I was Martha. I was strong. I took care of things. I made things happen. And so everything, I wanted to do that. But I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
And so don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Be in it. There's a ministry of tears in the midst of that. The Lord was closer to me in that season than ever in my life. He was so close. I could hear his voice so clearly. The scriptures just came alive and leapt off the page. I was having dreams and visions, and it just was really a powerful season. And the Lord was he was working so much in me and my identity. And I just desire that for everyone.
Yeah.
Because once you come to that place of knowing who you are in Christ, it's so powerful. And then you're not, the fear of man just falls off. And if you do start stepping into fear of man, you shake it off quickly, and you know what it's like to not have that.
Yeah.
And to be walking so close with him and just leaning up against him and trusting him in the midst of it. And the other thing would be just know that it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take.
Yeah.
And don't make any rash decisions. Have a multitude of counselors around you that can see clearly, because it's fog.
Yeah.
You are in
a
fog for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it does lift down the road, but it's a ways down the road, and it lifts slowly. It's not just all of a sudden, I kept thinking 1 year.
Yeah.
If I get to this 1 year
and then
mark,
I can check grief off the list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
And everything will be restored, and I'll be back to loving life and doing things. And and it definitely was not that.
No.
And even what the Lord taught me from the 1 year mark, where I was starting to feel healthy again, to even that 18-month mark and the 2 year mark, like that was huge growth.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than the beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning was more just processing feelings and emotions
Yeah, for sure.
sitting in that and knowing that the Lord would sit with me in that. The Passion Translation, that's where it's at in those moments.
It's beautiful to see there's so many facets to your story of there's this like multi-redemptive restorative process in your story. It's like you talked about in the beginning of your life, the pain and rejection and hurt you went through as a little kid, and how in your process of meeting John and starting that life, how the Lord restored things.
Yes.
And then there's that life, and then there's this pain and loss, almost a rejection from the Lord. Like, why would you do this?
Absolutely.
And then you see again the Lord restore things, and it's like this beautiful, it's not just like there's so many facets, and they all kind of point to each other, and they all point to God at the same time. And it's just crazy. Like when you look at the whole story, I know bits and pieces of it. I've never actually heard your full story in one 2-hour chunk. And it's like, this is crazy to see like the Lord. And I find myself in your story, and I'm like, oh, I remember walking through those, but it was different. I can see how the Lord is the same in everybody.
Yes.
Like it's the same God. Like he's not just, he only works for Melissa or only works for Sean or only at this level of pain, this level of trauma. But the Lord always, you kept bringing back to that Romans 8, like he turns all things for his good, for his glory. And it's to see how he restored all that stuff is beautiful. Well, I think we could probably end there.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but
I feel great.
I feel like I've just walked through the fire with you. I'm like, wow, that was
walked through my life.
Yeah, that was great. I know you so much better now. I love this.
Wow.
So thank you so much, Melissa, just for your vulnerability, for sharing that. I know you've shared your story in some degrees with different people, but now you've kind of shared it to the masses. And I truly believe that your story is going to be impacting for those. And so if you're listening to this and maybe you're here at Radiant, maybe you're, locally, and you're like, wow, I'm walking through this and I don't know what to do. Like, I know Melissa is like talk to me.
Yes,
It's like,
please.
like there's, and, I've, in a different degree, I've walked through that kind of grief and loss of life almost as we walked through years of cancer. And so we're both willing to talk with you and to help pray and walk through this with you. But so anyway, thank you again, Melissa, for sharing your story. Thanks for joining us. And we hope you enjoyed this conversation on the Radiant Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.